I'm Don Johnson for STL TV. Thanks for joining me. Today I have Earl Austin Jr., the sports editor for the St. Louis American and the author of 3 books. His most recent undertaking, a DVD, the PHL, and the STL. Earl, thanks for joining me this morning.
My pleasure, Don.
What prompted you to go beyond your book about the illustrious history of the PHL and produce a DVD?
Well, like I said, I wrote the book a couple of years ago, and it was brought back a lot of history of a great league, the Public High League. And actually, it was a friend of mine named Travis Harder who does a lot of video work. He has his own company, TJ Redbird Production, and he brought it to my attention. How would you like to maybe make a DVD out of it? And I thought about it for a minute, and I really didn't, then went away. Then after a while, I revisited, and we talked, and then I started to gather little video and old pictures, the players. Then I just really caught the feel. Said, this could really turn into something big. So I started going to coaches, anywhere I can find the archives of St. Louis U and different places, and collecting old video of these great players and great coaches from the years. And it just really mushroomed into this 90-minute production. It's a lot of fun, going all the way back to the 40s to today.
Yeah, I looked at it, and going back to the 40s was kind of interesting, but where did you get some of that footage from? Because you went all the way back. It was just amazing to watch it.
Well, like I said, I talked to coaches like, Coach Jim Gadd at Central High School had some great teams. He had some old video. Coach Marvin Neals at Soldan had some video of his teams. A lot of the players from like the 40s and 50s, they went to St. Louis University, where a lot of the great PHL players made SLU a great program, and they had a great archive department, and they're on the old reel-to-reel, so we got it transformed to DVD, and it just mushroomed into something big, I think. Probably the most meaningful thing I've done here in 25 years.
Well, we got some of the footage, and we're looking at it now. Can you pick us up as to what's taking place?
Yeah, this is the 1960s. Jimmy Bowhead Irving was a great player at Beaumont High School. Played for Tom Stanton, led him to the state playoffs, the 3rd place, and graduated in 1967, and became a great player at St. Louis University. In the 1960s was really the start of the golden era of public high league basketball. Tremendous players.
Well, I can really say that I was on the tail end of it, because I was going to Webster Groves in 1969, and we ran into a dynasty down at Vashon, which was unbelievable. I'm sure you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, the Sumner High School team, probably people think as maybe the greatest team in the history of the state of Missouri. Players like Harry Rogers, David Brent, Marshall Rogers, William Westfall, Travis Brown, the list goes on and on. 7-footers, 6'7" forwards. They look like a college team, and just to be able to bring back that kind of history and let people know that there was such great talent, such great teams, and a great coach, and Mr. Algie, who coached that team. There was just such a legacy of greatness in that league, and that was something we wanted to bring towards, especially the young people who may not realize how great this league was.
The amazing thing about it was you crossed the color line, which showed that at one time there were no African Americans playing in the schools that we're so familiar with now. We see them as the PHL.
Absolutely, and like I said, this is more than just a sports DVD. It's history. It kind of reflects the history. In the 40s and 50s, it was before Brown versus Board of Education. So your top programs, the PHL was all white, and Beaumont and Cleveland and McKinley to some extent were your top programs. They won state championships. And then after Brown versus Board in the mid-1950s, you started seeing Vashon and Sumner teams which played in what's called the Ilmo League, which is the all-black schools. Mm-hmm. They moved into the Public High League as well, and that's when things really started to take off in the mid-50s into the 60s. Players like Donnell Reed of Beaumont, who was one of the first African-American stars of the Public High League. Tommy Weathersby and Al Abram of Sumner High School in 1956 were the first all-black PHL team to win the Public High League championship, and so they were kind of pioneers in their own right.
Now, this is the undertaking of history of a great league in the city of St. Louis. What would you like for someone to carry away from this, or to think about it as they're viewing your DVD, the PHL and the STL?
I just want people to see that this was a place that developed tremendous talent, one of the best high school basketball leagues in the country. They developed players such as JoJo White, who went on and played with the Boston Celtics, and they developed a great legacy. Not only they developed great college and pro players, but people in different, whether in education, in law, in business, and industry. You have people like Louis McKinney, Reuben Shelton, attorney, great coaches like Floyd Irons, Marvin Neals, who are products of the Public High League. In all walks of life, people have gone on to be very successful in their lives, and just recapturing 80 years of what these people and coaches have accomplished. It was kind of a labor of love to talk to a Jody Bailey and let people know the greatness of him over the course of 40 years during his coaching career, and how going back to the 30s and 40s and 50s, how these programs were really developing. They were great programs back then as opposed to now.
Now, how is it that some of these people went on to leave basketball and go into baseball? Because I didn't know that Elston Howard was an outstanding basketball player.
Oh yeah, Elston Howard was a tremendous player. Played football too for Jody Bailey, for Vashon in the mid to late 1940s. But he played a lot of the sandlot semi-pro baseball, and obviously became a great player with the Yankees as well. And like I said, there was a lot of they were great athletes. You had a lot of people who were 2- and 3-sport athletes and went on and maybe played professional football, Major League Baseball. But back then it was something you did. You just, whatever season you were doing, that's what you played, and a lot of great basketball players came out of that.
Well, we're talking to Earl Austin Jr., and we're talking about his DVD, the PHL and the STL. And for you viewers, we have a treat for you, because coming up on April the 10th, that's a Sunday, at 5:30 p.m., there's going to be a premiere screening of the DVD, the PHL and the STL, right here on STL TV. Now, Earl, were there some myths that you uncovered that our viewers would really be unaware of?
I think people realize that the great coaching of the league. People think of basketball in the inner city, it's just run and gun, score 100 points a game, and not a lot of coaching. But you had some of the great coaches in the history of basketball in the state. I mentioned, Jody Bailey at Vashon, Northwest, O'Fallon Tech. You go back to Tom Stanton as well at Beaumont with the dynasty, but Jody Bailey, Floyd Irons, Marvin Neals, George Cross, Jim Gant, John Algie, Jim Price. These were great coaches, great mentors, not only great coaches on the basketball court, but a leader of young men. And I think and their teams reflected that. They played with great discipline, and they won basketball games. And these guys went on and became not only great basketball players at the next level, but great leaders and great citizens as well.
Briefly, can you tell us how we can get this DVD? Where do we go?
Sure, you go on my website, earlaustinjr.com. It's a basketball website celebrating the past, present, and future of St. Louis basketball. And you can get the book and the DVD at www.earlaustinjr.com.
I'd like to thank you for joining me, Earl.
My pleasure, Don.
And you stay tuned on STL TV. I'm Don Johnson, and Experience St. Louis.